Good morning. Hope everyone is doing well. I thought I would share another blog post this morning really quick. We only have a few more left, and then we can just get into making some videos about other topics. If there's something you'd like for me to cover or talk about, please leave it in the comments down below. Not again. I have talked a lot about my experience with becoming a mom with Hayden, but let me tell you about my journey bringing Baker into this world. I have mentioned that I had the best obstetrician in Gainesville. He was so kind and patient with me. So when I became pregnant with Baker, I certainly wanted to have him walk this pregnancy path with me again. I was excited, but extremely nervous about having a second child. I'd struggled and suffered so much after having Hayden that I was terrified to go through that a second time. My doctor did tell me the chance of having postpartum depression after this pregnancy was high since I struggled before. This time we had a plan. As soon as I delivered Baker, I would start back on Zoloft. That way the medication could start building up in my system. I was so sure after coming home with Baker that I would be just fine. Well, a few days passed, doing great. A week passed, still hanging in there. Week 2, not again. I swear that second week came and everything became a blur. Ben again had to force me to shower. Who knows how long I went without brushing my teeth. I was so angry. I mean, hey, Doc, we had a great plan. What happened? Then a few more weeks went by and I began to settle into a life of being a mom of 2. I still had the tears, but not as many. I still had the doubts if I was good enough, but they were less frequent. I still felt the ache in my heart, but not for long. God had a plan for me. He planned to give me both Hayden and Baker. Yes, he gave me the struggle of depression. Now I've committed to share my journey so others do not let fear block what God has in store for them. If I had let fear win, I would not have my precious, funny, and all around special Baker. Don't let the fear and doubt keep you from God's plan. Peace and love. Um, totally true. When I had Hayden and got through the dark days and lonely nights and, feeling bad, and I settled into being a mom and started feeling better, and we started living, a normal life with our son. Ben and I, about a year or so after having Hayden, started talking about having a second child. I was a no on that. I did not want to go through another C-section. I did not want to go through the darkness of postpartum depression, and I knew that I was at high risk for that. Because of my age, I was going to be a high risk pregnancy anyway. Um, I just didn't want to do it. I could not do it. So we, tabled the discussion, and Ben kept saying, he wanted to give Hayden a sibling, girl or boy, it didn't matter. He wanted, another child, and I still was just like, I don't think I can. I don't think I can do it. I don't think I'm built to do it. And I was also scared because, I had a miscarriage, which I'll talk about in another video, the whole struggle with miscarriages. I had a miscarriage before I was pregnant with Hayden. And so I was scared to go through that. And I was just scared. I was just scared in general. It wasn't that I didn't want a second child. The fear was overwhelming of going through those dark days again. I could not even process what that would look like and having a toddler. So that was a big fear, having a toddler and dealing with the darkness of postpartum depression. But year 2 came. We had settled into a good routine. I was working, Ben was working, all was good. Hayden, was doing well. We had a good routine, and I thought, you know what, I can do this. If we have a plan going in. I talked to my OB doctor before we started trying to say, hey, listen, these are my concerns. Um, what can we kind of put in place in case, that was to happen. We came up with a good plan. This was even before really we started trying. I just wanted to know, I just really wanted some validation that, it was okay and we could, head it off or maybe shorten the span of the time that I would be struggling with the depression. But I wanted a plan. Previous videos, if you've watched, I'm a planner. Planner, list maker, planner. So I wanted a plan for this too. So um so we started trying. I had another miscarriage, so that was a setback emotionally and physically. And then I got pregnant with Baker. And when he was born, they're about 3 years apart, a couple of weeks less, but right about 3 years apart. And I was pretty optimistic. I'm like, okay, we had a plan to go on the Zoloft as soon as I delivered. It was safe for the baby if I wanted to breastfeed, because I was very concerned about that. Um, but I felt good. I was like, okay, I had to have another C-section. I know what to expect this time. I had some things in place, some family coming into town to help. I knew I was going to be in the hospital for 4 days with the C-section. So we just, again, I had a plan. I felt good. Yeah, felt good. First week, I'm like, okay, getting into a routine with having a toddler and a newborn, and I'm like, man, I kind of got this licked. This is, I'm not going to have the struggles that I had before. And about the third week was when I realized that yes, we were going to go down this road again. Um, I will say I did not have the despair like I had with my first pregnancy, the depression. I knew what was happening, so I was aware of how to talk about it with my husband and say, okay, I'm feeling all of these things, so we're there and you're going to have to help me. And he did. And I will say it did not last as long as it did the first time. Partly medicine, partly because I was more willing to talk about what I was going through. I was more willing to with my husband. Now, I will say I still did have the shame and I still did not want to talk about it with, family and friends. So that was still there. I still wanted to act like, this was not going on, so but I was more open with my husband on how I was feeling. He was able to, jump into Avenger mode and, start doing the things that he did, making sure that I was, taking care of myself, bathing. And for some reason, I don't know what the deal was with the showering because I am like, I like my hot baths. I take baths twice a day. I love my girly lotions. I love my body sprays. I love all of those things. So it's really um, kind of funny that that was one thing that I was just like, I don't have the energy for. As much as I loved it, I was like, no, the energy that I would be spending on trying to wash my hair and, take a bath just seemed overwhelming. So it's kind of odd that that's what I chose, what, my brain chose to fixate on was the self-care and the bathing. Um, So yeah, Ben was able to jump into adventure mode and kind of help me with that. Okay, you need a bathe. You're wearing the same pajamas. Let's get cleaned up. Let's, take care of ourselves. Making sure that I'm eating some higher protein foods and, nourishing my body and hydrating and all of those things. So he was more prepared and I was more prepared and more willing to share with him kind of how it was going. Baker will be 13 next month. He is a happy, active, healthy boy, and he completed our family. He is the caboose to this train. And if I would have let fear of what might be, could have been, I wouldn't have him. And I can't imagine our family, without him in the picture. As much as his messy room drives me crazy, and the projects that he creates and the messes that he makes, I just couldn't imagine, him not being a part of our family. So I'm glad that I did not let fear take over. So I want to encourage you, if you had postpartum depression and you were thinking about having a second child, or even if you had it the first time, didn't have it the second time, you're always predisposed to that if you had it before. So have an honest conversation with your partner and with your healthcare providers on, hey, these are my concerns. I want to have another child, but I'm, you know, um, scared about this. I also started counseling during that period with Baker. And that's something I wish I would have done sooner with Hayden. So I had that in place also. And I really do think I just know having that therapist on hand for me, I could be totally honest, vulnerable without fear of judgment. That's what they're there for. And if you try one therapist and you don't vibe with that one, try another. It's just like I told you with OB doctors. If you have one and you don't feel like you're meshing well and the vibe seems off, go see another one. Same with therapy. Try your first therapist. You don't feel good about it, try another one. But that really did help. I think, well, I don't think, I know it helped me deal with postpartum depression the second time around. So I want to encourage you, if you are fearful of having to go through that again, or even the first time, I wish I would have had that therapist on hand the first time. So if you are walking through the darkness of postpartum depression now, or you have fear about going through it a second time, go ahead and find that therapist. Go ahead and start, making appointments and talk about those fears and have them on hand for those days that you really just want to be raw and vulnerable with somebody that doesn't have, any ties to, your community or your family, and you feel like somebody's going to find out, or no, like you can just be totally raw and honest. My husband was great, but it was amazing to have somebody else that was focused on healing my mind and my body, and helping me spiritually, depend on my faith and lean on my faith. And so I want to encourage you to look into that too, if that's something that you're fearful about. And I'm so glad that um, we had discussions with my OB doctor before we got pregnant so we could have a plan. I encourage you to do that also. Medication may not be for everybody. It was for me. Um, I had some guilt about that with Hayden. I did not have that same guilt with Baker because I knew that my job was to be the best mom that I could be for Hayden and Baker. And if medicine was what was going to help me through that, then that's what I was going to do. So I did not have the guilt about it the second time taking the medicine. like I did the first time. So talk to your doctor, talk to your partner, um, and get a plan in place so you are prepared. And you may not have it. I mean, just because I did doesn't mean that you'll have postpartum depression with every pregnancy or a second time around. It just means that it's it's a likelihood, and so just be prepared. Just have, arm yourself with a great team of supporters for you, and to just kind of know what could come. So make a plan, and don't let fear block you from, blessings that God may have for you, whether it's, pregnancy or anything in life. Don't let fear stop you from chasing your dreams. So I hope you have a great day. We're going to have a great day here. It's opening baseball season for my boys, so we are excited. We are in our busy time of year, but we love it. The spring is great. You can see the Gator baseball poster. Opening day for them is Friday, so we're excited to go watch our Gators play baseball. But I hope you have a wonderful day. I send you peace and love, and thank you for watching this video.